All right, great. Well, thank you everyone for coming. We really appreciate you walking all the way to this room. So today we'll be spending about 70 minutes with 3 product managers from Salesforce. We've reserved a lot of time at the end for question and answers, so you'll be able to discuss with us and ask us your questions about integrating Salesforce with Microsoft. So the session today is about integrating Office 365 and SharePoint with Salesforce, and we'll show you how easy it is to do that. Let us know who is in the room, who is a Salesforce customer, by a show of hands. Oh, wow. OK. Fantastic. Well, first of all, thank you for being a Salesforce customer. We really appreciate your business. And I presume everybody is a customer of Microsoft as well. Who is using Office 365? A lot of you already. Well, great. So that session should be very relevant. There's a lot of time at the end for questions and answers. So don't hesitate to ask us questions. Since you are a Salesforce customer, you're familiar with the Safe Harbor slide. So the Safe Harbor is basically here to indicate that you should make your purchasing decisions on current existing functionalities, not on roadmap items or forward-looking statements. So you may be wondering, why is a Salesforce product manager talking at a Microsoft conference? So we've had a partnership between Salesforce and Microsoft that we signed last year in May 2014. And I'll tell you a little bit about that before diving into details about our different integrations. So Salesforce has more than hundreds of thousands of customers. The success of those customers, of you guys deploying Salesforce, has made Salesforce the #1 CRM in the market, according to industry analysts like IDC. While we're very proud of this achievement, we're also, as engineers, always looking for opportunities to introduce innovation in Salesforce. Today is an illustration of this. We're bringing 3 new integrations to market as of spring 15, and we'll talk about that in this presentation. Forbes has voted Salesforce an innovative company for the past 4 years. So we're very happy about this, and we're looking forward to introducing more CRM capabilities to continue making users productive and help them drive their opportunities and deals to closure. Now, Microsoft is a household name and a brand that is recognized all over the world. There's up to 1.2 billion users using Office products. Office products being Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, and many more. I was at a presentation yesterday, and they indicated that Office 365 is also a very successful product. Up to 400 million users. That's the number I heard yesterday. So we're talking about personal users in addition to business users. So Office 365 is gaining a lot of momentum. With Salesforce being #1 in CRM and Microsoft being #1 in productivity tools, it just makes sense to integrate those 2 product suites together to make sure that as a user of Salesforce, such as yourself, and a user of Microsoft as well, you get the best of both worlds. This is why Satya and Mark Benioff met last year and decided to strike that partnership. So we are about to celebrate that a 1-year anniversary in May 2015. And I'll give you a couple of quotes. The first one is a quote from Satya. "We're excited to partner with Salesforce. Working together will deliver new solutions that connect the customer insights of Salesforce to the cloud productivity of Office 365. I've highlighted a couple of words in blue here to indicate that the vision that Mark Benioff, the CEO of Salesforce, has is in line with that statement. My CEO, Mark Benioff, says, together with Microsoft, we're building bridges that allow customers to be more productive. You've probably heard already at Ignite that Satya is looking at providing an immersive experience. And I think the integrations that you'll see today will be illustrating that statement. So we'll be talking about 3 integrations. The first 2 work together. As Salesforce customers, I'm sure you've heard about Salesforce for Outlook. Salesforce for Outlook is our traditional plugin that you install in the traditional Outlook application on Windows machines. It's got 2 components, the synchronization engine for your calendar and your contact information, and the visual experience that you get within Outlook. Email Connect is the cloud alternative to Salesforce for Outlook. And it also has 2 components, the Salesforce app for Outlook and Exchange Sync. So I'll be talking about the Salesforce app for Outlook. Matthew will be talking about Exchange Sync. And then Laurent will be talking about Files Connect. All right, I'll start with the Salesforce app for Outlook. My name is Damien Joly. I've been with Salesforce for just under 2 years now. I've been in the CRM business for a long time, over a decade. I started my career at Siebel Systems. If you're familiar with the CRM industry, I'm sure you'll recognize that name. We then got acquired by Oracle, where I was also working at integrating enterprise applications with Office products. So integrating the place where you manage your emails and enterprise applications such as a CRM system has always been a requirement and will continue being a requirement. We're very excited to introduce the Salesforce app for Outlook because it's got great advantages, and I'll go over those architectural changes later in this presentation. Email is everywhere today. It's on any computer. You're on a Windows computer, and you're reading your emails there, on a Mac machine as well, other operating systems. You can open any browser and check your emails there as well, whether it's Internet Explorer, whether it's Chrome, Firefox, or Safari. On our mobile devices, there's also a plethora of applications where you can check your emails. So we're talking about iPhones, Android devices, as well as Windows phones. The business requirement that we're solving with the Salesforce app for Outlook is to bring all the Salesforce insights and knowledge that your organization has into your email application. So we're talking about that immersive experience directly in your Outlook application to bring data that your organization has collected about your clients. So the Salesforce app for Outlook is basically bringing Salesforce in your emails. This is a place where you can see contacts, you can see Salesforce leads, you can see Salesforce accounts, Salesforce opportunities and cases, as well as your coworkers as well. The way you get the Salesforce app for Outlook is by navigating to the Microsoft Office store. And the app works anywhere where you're checking emails. So it means that if you have a Mac machine, you'll be able to see that app. Salesforce for Outlook was not present on Mac machines. And as the product manager for Salesforce for Outlook, I've heard many, many customers asking me, when are you going to bring Salesforce for Outlook on a Mac machine? So Outlook for Mac does not allow add-ins to be installed. So I always had to tell them, it's not possible at the moment. With the Salesforce app for Outlook, it's a different story, though. So I'm very excited to bring this product to market. And not only Windows users will be able to use it, but also Mac users. And it's built for all the modern Outlook applications that Microsoft has put in market. So we're talking about the traditional Outlook 2013 application installed on your Windows machine. We're also talking about the browser version of Outlook, being Outlook web app. So when you navigate to Office 365 using your browser, and it does not matter which browser you're using Outlook web app. The Salesforce app for Outlook will work there as well. The same application will work in Outlook for Mac as well. And Microsoft is making their new Outlook app on mobile devices compatible with that integration framework as well. So I don't know the time when they'll do that, but this is the #1 priority for Microsoft, to integrate their mobile application so that it supports integrations like this. So later in the week, we may hear about a firmer time frame to understand when the Outlook app will be compatible with this. But so far, what I've heard is that they'll make that available later in 2015, possibly early 2016. The idea here is that you get the same experience on a mobile device as well. So if you're using the Outlook app on your mobile device, you'll also get to see the Salesforce app for Outlook. I'm showing 2 screenshots here of the Salesforce app for Outlook. So you'll see that the app renders exactly the same whether you're in the traditional Outlook application. On the left-hand side, you're looking at Outlook 2013 on a Mac machine, on a Windows machine. And on the right-hand side, you're looking at Outlook web app, the browser version of Outlook. So you can see that the Salesforce app, which is highlighted in blue there on the right-hand side of each screenshot, is rendering the same. So you get that consistent experience regardless of the Outlook application you're using. All right, so let's talk about the architecture. Why is it a new architecture, and what is it bringing to you as an IT organization? With Salesforce for Outlook, you had to push or let your users get the plugin and install it on their own machine. This is a nightmare for IT organizations and large enterprises because deploying software is extremely complicated. It requires maintenance so that you always stay on the latest version, and some users do not have administration rights or installation rights on their machine. So the difference with the Salesforce app for Outlook is that it is an app for Office that does not require anything to be installed on the end user's machine. So the architecture here is that you go to the Microsoft Office store as an end user or as an administrator, and you manifest the app on the Exchange server. So that as an end user, as soon as you log into your Outlook to read emails, you see that Salesforce app, you see that experience without having to do anything, because we're pulling the Outlook profile from the Exchange server to understand that the app was manifested. So for an IT organization, it means no software to install, only configuration on the Exchange server. And later in the demo, I'll tell you how to do that. For end users, it's also easier because they don't have to worry about the version they're on. They don't have to call their IT organization to ask them permission to upgrade or to get a new version. The promises of the architecture that Microsoft is delivering is also that as we upgrade our application, those upgrades are taken care of automatically by Microsoft, by that framework. So there is really no upgrade nightmares to worry about anymore. This is an example of the manifest file that we've published in the Microsoft Office store. So as you can see, that's the entire manifest file. It's extremely short. The only thing that the manifest file is saying is, what is the name of that application? So you see that there is a description line that says the Salesforce app for Outlook enables you to work with Salesforce records inside Outlook. We're also pointing the app to the Salesforce web servers where the app is available. So all the manifest is really doing is telling Outlook, hey, there is this app, and all the content of that app is hosted on that Salesforce server. So think about an app for Office as a manifest and then a web URL, and that's it, really. And that is why there is no need to install a thick client or anything on the end user's machine. The Exchange servers that we are supporting at the moment are Exchange Online servers, part of the Office 365 offering, as well as dedicated Exchange servers hosted by Microsoft. But the same application and the same logic will also apply to on-prem servers. So it works today. We don't officially support it. We're still going through testing. If you have an on-prem server and if you want to give it a try, wait for me at the end of the presentation and we'll work something out together. But we'll be looking at officially supporting those servers in our Winter 16 release, which comes out in October 2015 this year. So with that, I'll switch over to a demo. I'll tell you how to get the app from the store, and I'll walk you through the first-time user experience. All right, let me wake up my Surface tablet. Okay, I'm using a Chrome browser, but the same works in Internet Explorer. I log into my emails. Without a typo. And I'm not going to Outlook.com. Okay. So I'm looking at my emails here in a browser, and you see that there is a gray line. This is the line where you get that immersive experience about all types of third-party applications. The action items here is something that Microsoft provides out of the box. So when Microsoft recognized that there is a potential for an action item to be done by reading the content of that email, it's suggesting you to create an action item. But you can manifest other third-party applications. You can either click on here and get directly navigated to the Microsoft Office store and indicate which other applications you want to manifest directly in your Outlook application, such as LinkedIn and Salesforce. So we've got two applications in the store for Salesforce. One is to connect to your sandbox environment, and the other one is to connect to your production environment. So as an end user, you can get as many apps as you want. Another way to do that is to manage your apps from that little cog icon in the top right-hand side. So when you click on this, you'll see all the apps that you have available in your Outlook web app. In this case, Salesforce is already enabled, but I can add other apps as well. So I'll add it from the Office store. I would go here for the production app. I can add it over here, and I'll get navigated back to managing my apps. So as an end user, it's very simple. You go to the Microsoft Office store, you click on Add, and the app gets manifested that way. Now let me navigate back to my mail. And when I click on any email, I'll get to see this Salesforce app. So now I'll show you what the first time usage will be like. So the app is prompting me to log into Salesforce. And that flow, again, will only happen once for the first time you're using the Salesforce app. So it's going to ask me to log into Salesforce. What this will do is ask me to authenticate and give me a token. All right, so I'm checking my emails. I'm going to enter the passcode. Okay, and this is giving me a token right here. And that mobile verification is optional, by the way. Now, I navigate back to the app. I'm going to paste that code, click on Next. Okay, so now I've been connected between Salesforce and the Outlook application. You can see that the app is showing me all the people that are included on my email to and CC lines. Those people are contacts in Salesforce, they could be leads, and they could also be coworkers. So you get to see their titles, you get to see who they are working for. If the app does not recognize someone, they'll show you a different icon here, and I can create that person as a new contact directly in Outlook. I'm not going to do this, and I'll go back to the Salesforce app for Outlook. Besides people, we also see the accounts that those contacts belong to. We see opportunities that they played a role in, as well as all the cases they have logged in the past. Okay. Okay, I'll go back to the slides. So that Salesforce app for Outlook gives you the visual experience that brings Salesforce insights directly in your Office 365, in your Outlook 2013 applications. It does not do any type of synchronization. So for synchronization, Matthew will be talking about Exchange Sync. The Salesforce app for Outlook does not require any installation. You can install it yourself as an end user, and you can also have the admin manifest it for all users in your organization, so that the app is already available to end users without them having to go to the store and install it from there. They'll still have to go through the first-time user flow, and beyond that, they will never have to go through that user flow again unless they get disconnected by the administrator in the Salesforce setup. So in the demonstration, you've seen how the Salesforce app for Outlook was manifested. I did not have to install any piece of software, and it gets upgraded as we release new features in our 3 times a year releases at Salesforce. So with that, Matthew, I'll let you talk about Exchange Sync.
All right, thank you. Am I on? Okay. Thanks again, Damien. Thanks, everyone, for being here. I'm Matthew Barnhart. I'm the Senior Product Manager at Salesforce, and I'm on the Salesforce for Microsoft team. My special focus is on Exchange integration. I'm coming up on 2 years at Salesforce. Prior to this, I have over a decade of experience in various SaaS projects spanning healthcare and federal and commercial spaces. So this opportunity to bridge to world-class clouds, Microsoft and Salesforce, is, well, I'm really enjoying this opportunity. I'm here today to tell you about Exchange Sync. As Damien said, it's a really important counterpart to Salesforce App for Outlook, where Salesforce App for Outlook is the very hands-on user interface kind of piece. This is the behind-the-scenes piece that does the synchronization. It is a sync engine. And the main objective of it is to make sure that sales reps are never out of sync with their most important data. The data is current and it's available on whatever devices they're carrying with them. They don't have to be logged into Salesforce in a browser on a laptop to be benefiting from Salesforce. Today, what Exchange Sync does is bidirectionally sync contacts and calendar events. And on the roadmap, we also intend to sync tasks. We'll start with a quick demo just of a calendar sync in action. So for that, I'm going to go to number 1. What we have here is my iPad. Let's say I'm a sales rep and the iPad is what I carry with me. And my day is very empty today, nothing going on. So let us now switch to, this one is number 7. I'm already logged into Salesforce for myself. There we are. Here's my Salesforce account. And I'm going to go down to my calendar. And let's say I'm going to create a calendar item for myself today. I might be doing it for myself. There also might be a meeting scheduler kind of person working in the sales department at your company who makes the phone calls, finds the leads, and then assigns sales reps to go make those face-to-face visits. That's why this workflow is really important, to allow events to be created in Salesforce and have them flow to Exchange so users will see them. So let's see, we're coming up on 4 o'clock. Let's just make it 4 o'clock then. And we will meet with XYZ company and save that. All right, so now we're going to give the sync engine a couple minutes to actually find that and propagate that over to Exchange. So we'll check back on the iPad in a moment. For now, let us go back to the slides, which are number 5. Okay, very good. So while we let that sync, let me just say a couple other benefits. We said what's good for the end user. Why is it good for the organization as a whole? Why is this good for IT and Exchange admins? For the organization as a whole, you're extending Salesforce's reach. As I said, it's no longer confined to just the user interacting directly with the browser. They have the ability to see, interact with, even create and modify Salesforce data from other devices, whatever they're carrying with them. And this is always working. It's a server-to-server sync. It has no dependence on what the person is carrying in their pocket or their laptop bag. It doesn't have to be turned on. It's just always working. It's compatible with any device that the user is carrying around, or to qualify that, any Exchange-connected device. But that is pretty much all of them, isn't it? And just overall, this is easier on IT than an installed solution. Because not only is there nothing to install on the end devices, there's nothing to install in Exchange and nothing to install in Salesforce. This sync engine is already resident within Salesforce Sales Cloud. It's always being upgraded. It's always highly available. I'm going to switch back to the iPad for just a moment. And we see that our meeting has found its way over here. So this is a bidirectional sync. I could change it here and have changes go back here. Oh, I thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Okay, so we're about to get into how you set it up. And we're going to be doing some stuff in PowerShell. So that'll be a live kind of high-wire act, I suppose, making sure that works. This was the easy part, just having the sync go. All right, so an overview so that the next steps actually make sense. You know Exchange is in the middle of it all. It doesn't matter if it's Exchange Online, Exchange On-Prem. It's got all your users' data. They're using all these various OSs and apps and devices and endpoints here to get at that data. And you've already connected all these things to Exchange. That's pretty much a given. Unfortunately, there's nothing further to do there. But the top, well, I shouldn't say at the top. I could have put Salesforce and Exchange next to each other, I suppose. But anyway, Salesforce at the top here with all that yummy CRM data. We want to get it onto the end user's devices. So we could draw arrows from Salesforce to every one of these endpoints here, but that would pretty much imply that we have to write a new client. It needs to be installed on all these things. There are versioning problems and upgrade problems and compatibility problems. No one wants that. We don't, and I don't think you do either. And so that's why Exchange Sync is instead just this one big arrow here between Salesforce and Exchange. You only have to set up one synchronization that's always working between these two endpoints. All your end users down there at the bottom, since they're already connected to Exchange, they are just the downstream beneficiaries of all this. And the Exchange servers that are supported, by the way, it's Office 365, that is Exchange Online, and it's also Exchange 2010 and 2013 servers. So we're about to actually set it up. If the slides advance. There we go. All right, setup steps. So your Salesforce admin, your friendly Salesforce admin knocks on your door and says, my sales reps have to have this Exchange Sync functionality. Please help me set it up because I know there's something to do in Exchange. I'm going to show you that it's going to be really easy to help your Salesforce admin with that. 3 steps. Number 1 is going to be just creating a service account user mailbox on Exchange with impersonation privileges. And you can do this with PowerShell. If you have Office 365, you can do it with the admin UI. Just point and click your way through it. Number 2, we recommend that you test it briefly. Microsoft's Remote Connectivity Analyzer, an online tool, is very well suited to this task. And once you've done that, now the easiest part of all is just to, we have a little bit of a lag. There we go. You are going to securely store those service account credentials in Salesforce. And these are the PowerShell commandlets that we are about to use. 3, all of 3. And really only 2 of them matter a lot. So I'm going to show you what that looks like now. Okay. Number 7. Let us go into PowerShell. I have connected previously to an Exchange Online instance. One thing I want to show you, and I also preloaded these commands into the command buffer, so I'm going to be using a lot of up arrow here. Just want to show you that I already created, got to log in again. Give that a moment. What I'm doing right now is doing get mailbox for a mailbox called SF Service Account. I just gave it that name, Salesforce Service Account. Right now, it's just a regular user mailbox. There's nothing special about it, but now we're going to make it special. For that, okay, the first commandlet we saw on that slide was enable organization customization. Odds are you already have that enabled. This angry-looking error message is just telling me, hey, you're already enabled. Just run the command anyway, it doesn't hurt. Second, we are going to, let's go through my buffer. New management scope. We're going to create a new management scope, and I'll explain in a moment what that one does. This is about limiting which users get impersonated by that service account, because you might not want to impersonate all of them in your organization. So we run that one. And the final command was just, we're going to do a new management role assignment. This is where we actually give the powers to the service account. And I do that. And now it is special. It really is a service account, not just a regular user mailbox. So let me explain just a little bit more about what those meant. Okay, the first one, as I said, just enables customization. The second one is about creating the scope. I gave it an arbitrary name, SF Scope for Salesforce Scope, and you get to be creative in the recipient restriction filter there. There's where you're going to put some filter statement that will apply this only to the users you want. For testing/demo purposes, I just threw in alias equals Matthew.Barnhart. We're going to test it for exactly one user. You, after you have tested this out, will probably type something like department equals sales, or organizational unit equals XYZ. You put something in there that makes sense. And then the final commandlet there is about actually giving these powers to the service account. So we give it another arbitrary name. I called it Salesforce role assignment. We're giving it the role application impersonation. That's the very important privilege. The user is that service account that I showed you earlier that I had already created. And which scope, the final parameter there, SF scope down there, that is the same scope that we defined up above. So that was it. It's really pretty simple. There are really only 2 commands to make this go. And you know what? Let's move back to here, number 7. I stalled a little bit on purpose because you may already know this. When you type stuff into PowerShell, into Exchange, you have to wait at least a couple minutes for the stuff to really take. It seems to need to replicate and propagate a little bit. I recommend at least 2 minutes. Get yourself a cup of coffee. But that should be okay by now. And what we're going to do is go to our remote connectivity analyzer here. We're going to run this test again. Testconnectivity.microsoft.com. Go here on the Exchange Server tab. Just choose Service Account Access Developers. Do this whether you're using Office 365 or not. You're going to go to Next. I've already pre-filled most of these fields. What we're going to do is test 2 things. Auto-discover works and that service account can actually impersonate Matthew.Barnhart here. So I put Matthew.Barnhart in as our target. Here is the service account that we just empowered. Enter the password for that a couple times. You know it because you just created that service account. And we're going to use auto-discover. We're going to test predefined folder. By default, that'll be inbox. Choose something like calendar or contacts because that's what we're syncing. One or the other, doesn't matter. Choose use Exchange impersonation. That's what we have to test here. And put your one test user again in this blank. Don't put the service account in there again. Put the same user you had up here. And even if we had a scope that had 100 sales reps in it, test it for 1 and that should do the trick. Click I understand, and now we're going to run it. We're going to perform this test. It takes between 3 and 30 seconds typically. Like I said, it's doing a couple things. It's trying several auto-discover methods, and it is attempting to do an impersonation. We have a few more moments, and hopefully we did really wait, even though I didn't get that cup of coffee. Oh, okay, this is good. Connectivity test successful with warnings is actually a great result because in a typical case, not every auto-discover method attempted will work. Some of them failed, at least one of them worked. You probably set up Exchange that way on purpose, so don't worry about it. If you expand all and run down to the bottom of this, kind of a key interesting thing to notice is that for that user, Matthew.Barnhart, a new mail item got created, and then immediately after that, it got deleted. So without leaving a trace, really, the remote connectivity analyzer proved that it was able to do something to Matthew.Barnhart's mailbox via impersonation thanks to that service account. So that's good. And now, as I said, we're off to the easy bit, which is now you're going to talk to your Salesforce admin again, and you're going to say, all right, I did the Exchange stuff. Let's just save those credentials now. So your Salesforce admin will take you into setup. I mean, this is unless you want to email the creds to your Salesforce admin. I'm guessing you won't do that. So they might log you in right here. Email connect, Exchange sync setup. Oops, I hit the wrong one. Exchange sync setup. If this is the first time you're doing it for your Salesforce admin, these 2 fields are probably blank. Let me just modify that to the one we just created. SF service account is the one we just tested. Password for that. Save it. And this test runs faster than the remote connectivity analyzer. In just a few moments, your service account credentials have been saved. This is great. By the way, they're encrypted. They're saved in here very securely. No one can copy paste them out. They're safe. So now this service account is pretty much the one account that Exchange Sync will talk to on Exchange to make all the reads and writes for all the users you want to sync to happen. You're done. That was it. So now, last couple slides to wrap it up. that. All right, so here's what I hope you took away from this. Exchange Sync is important and useful. It's a really good counterpart to Salesforce app for Outlook. It really covers the bases. Between the two of those, we call them Email Connect, and that is our Exchange integration solution. If you go through any of these URLs here, you might even want to take a look at the Exchange setup video and see how to do it via the admin GUI if you want to click through it. Something to know is if you do it through the point-and-click UI, you can't limit the scope. You'll actually be setting up impersonation for all the users, which is not necessarily bad. That doesn't mean they're all going to sync. The Salesforce admin is still going to do a little more setup to determine exactly which users are syncing, which objects, which directions, with what filters, and so forth. But that is a little bit easier if you want to do it that way. So we are doing more in this partnership than just Exchange integration. There are other great servers and use cases for Microsoft to look at. What about files? What about your SharePoint? What about your OneDrive? For that, there is no better person for you to talk to than my colleague, Laurent.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Laurent Kubeski. I'm the product manager for Files Connect. And as you can hear, I'm French, coming directly from Paris, Texas. All right, so I've been with Salesforce for a little bit than 2 years. And before this, I was working in a French startup called Entropysoft. And we were building connectors for content management systems like SharePoint, EMC Documentum, IBM FileNet, OpenText, LiveLink. And I was a pre-sales engineer at Entropysoft. And we were selling these connectors to search engines. And one weekend I was bored, so I decided to build a Salesforce SharePoint integration using our SharePoint connector. And then I demoed this integration to Salesforce. And they said, hey, looks great. How much is it? I said, you mean how much is the SharePoint connector? And they said, no, how much is your company? So 2 years ago, we were acquired. 2 years ago, we were acquired, and the reason I'm here with you today in Chicago is to tell you about the SharePoint integration product called Files Connect. But first, why Files Connect? Thank you for asking. Why Files Connect? And I'm going to stretch my legs a little bit because I can see some people are sleeping behind. So why Files Connect? So Salesforce, it's the leading CRM application on the market today. And SharePoint, it's the leading content management system on the market today. Say yes. Yes? Yes. So now here is the challenge. Here is the challenge. If you use both Salesforce and SharePoint, there is no built-in solution to integrate these two platforms together. And as a result, your files are disconnected from your business processes, hence the slide title. So what do people do? They do two things. First, they copy and paste SharePoint document links in Salesforce. Or they download SharePoint document and re-upload them in Salesforce. And as Michael Jackson would say, that's bad. And I'm going to tell you why it's bad. First, copy-pasting document links, it's bad because, well, if you rename your document in SharePoint, your link is broken, right? Your Salesforce link is broken. Then HTTP links have no previews, they have no metadata, and they are read-only. So if you copy and paste a link in Salesforce, you cannot update your document. Now, downloading and re-uploading document, it's even worse because, well, now you have two documents. You have one in SharePoint, you have one in Salesforce, and you just don't know where the latest version is. Also, when you do this, you break the SharePoint permission model because Salesforce has its own permission model. So the SharePoint permission model is completely broken. Luckily, there is a way out, and it's called Files Connect. So my timing, he has. All right, next. All right, back. Back. OK, doesn't want to go back. What was on the previous slide? OK, thanks. Oh, yeah, Files connect external files in the flow of business. We make SharePoint documents an integral part of the Salesforce business processes. Let's talk about the main 4 features. First one, single point of access. It means accessing all your SharePoint servers from Salesforce. But what does it mean exactly, accessing? It means browsing SharePoint from Salesforce. So you have access to all your SharePoint servers, all your site collections, all your sites, all your document libraries, all your folders. You can browse in the folder hierarchy from Salesforce. Also, you can search. You can search in SharePoint from Salesforce. And if you have multiple SharePoint servers, we do something very awesome called federated search. It means searching in all your SharePoint servers and displaying all the results in a single page. So let's say that you have found a document that you like. What do you do with it? Well, you're going to publish it in Salesforce. And what you are going to actually create, it's called a file reference, which is a bit like Canada Dry. So it looks like a copy of your SharePoint document. It tastes like a copy of your SharePoint document, but it's not a copy because we don't duplicate the content. Instead of storing the content, we store the actual SharePoint document ID. That's what we store. And each time you want to interact with your SharePoint document in Salesforce, Files Connect will connect to Salesforce and do something with your document. It will download the content, it will update the content, it will get the properties. So what we actually store in Salesforce, it's the SharePoint document ID. And at Salesforce, we are API first. So all these things are exposed in the Salesforce public API. So partners and customers can build custom apps on top of the Files Connect API. In fact, this screenshot on the right, it's the Salesforce mobile app that we call Salesforce One, and it uses the Files Connect public API. So from your mobile device, you can also access all your SharePoint documents on the go. Let's check the architecture. Okay, and in case you are wondering, yes, it's a wall on fire, and so people call this a firewall. So that's the list of the servers we support. So we support SharePoint 2010 and 13 on premises. We support SharePoint Online. We support OneDrive for Business. And I'm not exactly supposed to talk about this because it's a SharePoint conference, but yes, I'm sorry, we also support Google Drive. In the future, we'll support Box, Dropbox, and so on. And no, sir, you cannot leave. I just locked the door. You have to stay. Come on, only 23 minutes left. All right, let's check who is using SharePoint on OneDrive in the cloud. Raise your hand. All right, who is using SharePoint on premises? Wow, lots of people. Now, let me ask you a question. If right now I'm telling you to take your mobile phone and access your SharePoint on-premises documents, can you do it? Raise your hand if you can do this right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. How do we solve this problem? Because between Salesforce and SharePoint, we have this ugly wall on fire. And most IT admins, most security admins will not allow Salesforce to connect to your on-premises SharePoint server. So we built this piece of software that's unique in the industry. It's called the Secure Agent, Files Connect Secure Agent. It's an OSGI container, that's for the geeks. It's an OSGI container that you can install in your intranet. It's a small piece of software. And the agent does 3 things. First, it connects to Salesforce. Then it connects to SharePoint using the CSOM API. And then it encrypts all the data in motion. And if you want to take a picture of me, you can do it now. Really? All right. So that's, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So that's to connect for SharePoint on premises. SharePoint in the cloud, it's way more easy. SharePoint is in the cloud. Salesforce is in the cloud. Everyone is in the cloud. We still use the CSOM API, and we authenticate using OAuth. In both scenarios, there is nothing to install on your SharePoint server. There is no plugin. We just use the CSOM API. Now let's see. It worked. Let's see what the integration looks like from the end user point of view, and then we'll have a look behind the hood to see how you can do this. Actually, that's 8. Oh, yes, I recognize my pretty face. That's me. OK, so standard use case. I'm on a Salesforce opportunity. I want to publish a SharePoint document. I want to link a SharePoint document to this opportunity. First, it all starts from the chatter thread. I'm assuming you know chatter. In case you don't know, chatter, it's like Yammer, but for Salesforce. And when I'm talking about Yammer, I'm saying that it's like chatter, but for SharePoint. Except that chatter is better, but that's just me. All right, so I am on the opportunity feed. I'm going to select a file from Salesforce, which should be familiar to you if you post files on feeds. And here you are. On the left side of my screen, you have the Files Connect integration right there. That's the list. And for these guys there, let me do a little bit of clicking. Yeah. So that's the systems that are currently connected to Salesforce via Files Connect, Google Drive, OneDrive for Business, SharePoint 2010 on premises, SharePoint Online. Let's browse SharePoint Online. That's real-time browsing, live browsing. There is no sync. I'm really accessing my SharePoint Online documents in real time. So let's go inside this folder. I have all these technical documentations and only one available option, which is attach. Let me enter a comment, check this file, check this file. OK, I hit share. And I just share this file. Again, it's a file reference. We do not duplicate any content. You see this little Office 365 icon. It tells you that it's actually a file reference for a SharePoint Online document. That's how you attach a file with the opportunity. You may be wondering why I'm calling this attaching a file to the opportunity. It's because in the Notes and Attachments section, you have the list of all the file references you share with the feed. And it works with any chatter file, by the way. When you post a file in a record feed, it will show up in the Notes and Attachments section. Now you are wondering, do I really need to attach all my files one by one on the record? No, you don't have to. You can link some SharePoint documents just by using metadata. Let's take an example. I have this account, which is blue. I created a custom field called blue. And in SharePoint, I have a custom column called blue. So this related list will display all the SharePoint documents that are also blue. Behind the scene, I'm querying SharePoint in real time to retrieve the list of SharePoint documents that are linked to my account. Let's change the color. I have blue, white, red, which are the colors of the French flag, or from the American flag, you choose. Pick any color you want. Red, another one. White, perfect. Okay. Okay, she said red. She said red. I'm going to save, and in real time, I'm going to ping Salesforce, get the list of the red documents, and refresh the list view. So here you are, another way to link SharePoint documents to a record. You remember federated search? That's the last thing I want to show you. I'm going to search for specifications from the Salesforce global search bar. It's going, did I say that the doors were locked? It's going to search across all my servers. In this case, it's searching in SharePoint Online and in OneDrive for Business. Yes, that's the Salesforce global search. Okay, so you can search in Salesforce and in all connected systems at the same time. We are also mobile first. So it depends. Sometimes we are API first. Sometimes we are mobile first. I don't exactly know, but we love APIs and we love our mobile device. So on my mobile device, I have Salesforce One, the Salesforce One app. And for example, if I go to my opportunity, Same thing, I can access SharePoint from Salesforce 1. Okay, so that's the document that we just created together. It's just right there. If I tap on it, by the way, it's a mobile device, but I cannot really move away. So it's the first plugged mobile device. Let me click on the file, and from my mobile device, one more time, I love when I use a beta of Salesforce 1. So it's supposed to preview the file. All right, so I can preview the file from Salesforce 1. And thanks to the Microsoft partnership, you will have this Word icon on the top right of your screen. Salesforce 1 is integrated with the Office apps on your mobile device. So if I click on the Word app, you can guess what's going to happen. I'm going to open the Word app on my mobile device. The Word app is going to connect to Office 365. It's going to download my document. Remember, it's not stored in Salesforce. It's going to download the document from Office 365, and then I can edit the file. I can edit the file on the go on my mobile device using the Word app. There it's downloading the file. At the speed of this incredibly fast Wi-Fi, all right, I'm just going to edit the file. And that's it. I can now edit the file on the go using all the built-in Word feature. I can save the file. No need to do anything in Salesforce. A file reference always points to the latest document version in SharePoint Online. So that's it. And now I know what you want to know. How do I do this? How can I turn this on my Salesforce org? Keep calm. I'm going to explain. No problem. Okay. In fact, as the Jackson 5 would say, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you get the idea. We are going to connect to SharePoint Online together. So back on my Salesforce org, step 1, in the setup tree, I'm going to create an OAuth provider. I don't know if you are familiar with this, but remember, we authenticate to SharePoint Online using OAuth, so you create an OAuth provider. So I click on New. I choose Microsoft in the list. We support a certain number of systems. And then, what's your name? Sorry? Shelly. Okay, that's the name of the OAuth provider. Shelly, you will be the provider. Is this how your name is? Okay, you are going to be famous. We are recording this video. Okay, so I'm going to enter fake values because what we need is what's called a return URL. Or as it's called there, a callback URL. Are you familiar with the OAuth dance? Let me explain what the callback URL means. When you do the OAuth flow, your user is taken from Salesforce to SharePoint Online, and then SharePoint Online redirects you back in Salesforce after you authenticated. So SharePoint Online needs to go where to forward you back. So that's the callback URL. So in SharePoint Online, we are going to enter this callback URL. So that's step 1. We have the callback URL. Step 2, we are going to create a new app in SharePoint Online. I need a client ID. So Microsoft is nice because I have a generate button. Client secret, same thing, generate button. And the title, let's say SharePoint Online, the domain, and then the redirect URL that I'm going to take from Salesforce. So that's, I'm copying and pasting this, create. That's it. Now I need to grant permissions. So I'm going to allow Fast Connect to connect to my SharePoint Online tenant. So, well, that's some XML I need to copy and paste. There you go. Basically, this XML snippet says, hey, give read access to Files Connect. And I hit create. OK, and we are almost done. Back in Salesforce, we are going to create what's known as an external data source. So for each system you want to connect to, you create an external data source. I click on New. In the type dropdown, SharePoint Online, SP Online, SP Online, site URL. So let me copy-paste my SharePoint Online site collection or site. All right. Authentication provider, Chelly. You are the authentication provider. I hit save, and that's it. If I now go back to my opportunity, again, from the feed file, select a file from Salesforce, and here we are. It's the one we created, SharePoint Online. So you see, as easy as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let's recap. Files Connect, external files in the flow of your business. You can browse SharePoint. You can search in SharePoint. You can link SharePoint documents to record. If you want more information, I don't know what I'm saying if. Since you want more information, go to the Salesforce Success community. You have a dedicated Files Connect group where I will personally answer all your questions, especially your questions. You're welcome. All right, so I hope that thanks to my colleagues and me, have a better understanding of the products that are behind the Microsoft partnership and a better understand how they can help you increase your productivity. And when you call your wife or husband tonight, and when she or he asks you, so what did you learn during this Salesforce session? You only need to say one thing. You only need to say, well, it's easy, darling. The world #1 CRM plus the world #1 productivity suite equals customer success. Learn more. Come to see us at booth 124 in the expo for a demo of all the products you saw today. And free coffee. In fact, if you don't find booth 124, just ask where can I find the best coffee. They will tell you it's there. It's the Salesforce booth. Okay? Tomorrow at 12:35, you have a quick presentation about the partnership as a whole. And if you want to see this session again with the exact same demos, the exact same people, the exact same jokes, you can come back tomorrow at 1:30. If you cannot come back, send someone that you like. And if you didn't like this session, send someone that you hate. Just send someone. And now we have 8 minutes for Q&A. And as a special souvenir for you, for all questions on Files Connect, you will get this Eiffel Tower keyring as a souvenir. So pick your questions wisely. Yes, sir. Okay, are you sure you don't want a Files Connect question? Because you will not get the Eiffel Tower. Okay.
Are you asking about Exchange Sync or the Salesforce app for Outlook? You're asking whether it has Exchange 2010 support. Exchange Sync, yes, Exchange 2010 and 2013. And your answer, yeah, no, Salesforce for Outlook is for Exchange 2013 and for Exchange Online. Microsoft's new framework for those modern, mail apps and Office apps is in their the most recent releases.
I have a question. We had kind of the reverse need. We needed to index the knowledge, Salesforce knowledge from SharePoint 2013, and we ended up exposing it via BCS. And I'm just wondering, were we crazy? Is there a Files Connect option? Is there something in the works that we should have thought of otherwise?
You are not crazy. Okay, not actually a Files Connect question, but you get your Eiffel Tower anyway.
Right.
All right. No, you are not crazy. I would do this. We don't plan to build a SharePoint plugin. Okay? So leveraging the Salesforce public APIs is the way to go, yeah.
Good. Thanks.
I wondered if you're looking to do more integration with Chatter and Yammer in any way to allow conversations to flow either way.
No plan for this. Okay. In fact, you know, it's funny because Yammer has a Salesforce plugin, and actually Salesforce has a Chatter plugin for SharePoint. So it really depends on your use case. Something is sure, you don't want to have the two social networks together. The reason I say that I think that Chatter is better because Yammer, it's collaboration in groups. And Chatter, it's collaboration in the context of your business objects, and it's way more powerful. But again, I'm on the Salesforce side, so so we have customers that are actually embedding Chatter in SharePoint because they think it's the way to go.
Do you have a question, sir?
I just had a question for the Files Connect. Once you put all this integration in there, I'm pretty new to Salesforce, but can you use those connection points for the Chatter and communities and everything? Like once it's there, it's available everywhere?
So we are going to, today we don't support communities yet, but we are working on it. In fact, as I am talking, the Files Connect R&D team is adding support for Salesforce communities. Today, Files Connect only works in the internal orgs, but when we support communities, all Salesforce partners, all external people will be able to, and let's take a use case, you use SharePoint Online. In SharePoint Online, you can invite people, right? So let's say that you make a SharePoint document public, so to speak, you share it with someone, and then you will be able to collaborate on this document in the context of Salesforce communities. We are working on this. So to answer your question, yes, it's on the roadmap, and in fact, it's on the very short-term roadmap.
Okay.
All right, and I have 3 more Eiffel Towers. You saw something to integrate Yammer with Chatter? Maybe it's coming from Yammer because, oh yeah. So yeah, I don't know about this. It's kind of strange. I know it's easier said than done, but I will really recommend using a single social network. If it has to be Yammer, then it's Yammer. You have a Yammer plugin in Salesforce, but having 2 social networks like this sounds a bit strange. But if it's a Yammer feature, you should go to the Yammer team because I'm not aware of this integration. Sorry. Yes? Accessing your SharePoint documents in the field when you are offline, yes, it works. You just need to download it once on your mobile device, and then you can take it offline. Actually, if I go back to, if I go back to Salesforce 1, all right. Okay, the offline icon is the 3rd from the right on top. So if I do this, the file is now offline. So actually, because this preview means downloading the document on your iOS device and encrypting it. So taking it offline just means that you keep it in the cache. So yes, it works.
Sir?
Oh yes, by the way, it was a Files Connect question.
I think we have a question. Yeah.
If you have dynamic CRM and Salesforce in your organization, maybe between business units, what would be appropriate middleware or other solutions to allow this data to
Interesting. Do you want data to flow from Dynamics CRM into Salesforce, or it's more that you want contacts from both of them to go to end users or something?
A business unit that sells something similar to its parent company, and maybe you want a cross-sell opportunity between them. Maybe that business unit was an acquisition, so they can't really get out of Dynamics or something like that very quickly, so it needs to do that over time. But in the meantime, you want to take advantage of your relationship and contacts and account information and everything else between the two of those.
Might depend on the details of your use case. The first thing that occurs to me is maybe to set up some sort of a one-way sync from Dynamics to every user's Exchange mailbox, and a one-way sync from Salesforce to that mailbox, and then you could probably combine those contacts. Maybe they would end up in two different directories, but they'd still be within your contacts folder. That's one thing that occurs to me. Anytime you set up multiple bi-directional syncs with one Exchange mailbox, and then you have two sync engines working with two very different orgs or whatever, you might have data doing this crazy loop cross-pollination that you don't even want. So think that through carefully.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about
Okay.
Exchange point of view, more or less from the actual databases themselves.
Oh, okay. So sort of a synchronization for CRM to Exchange. I mean, to Salesforce. I don't have anything to suggest for that. Thank you. Did he get his Eiffel Tower?
No, because it's not a False Connect question.
Oh, those are. Oh.
All right,
realize.
come back, sir.
I got to bring my own tchotchkes
Come.
tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay.
Any more questions? Oh,
Okay.
we got a question back here.
Yeah.
Would the process to connect to SharePoint Online be pretty similar to what you just did with the cloud version that you just went through?
So you mean SharePoint on-prem?
On-prem,
It's completely different. Because to connect to SharePoint on-prem, you first need to install the on-premises agent. So it's not really a 5-step process. I mean, it's straightforward, but it's much more long because you need to download something, install it on premises, and then configure some plugins. I will give you my business card. I will point you to the setup installation. But basically, first you deploy the agent. The agent is going to connect back to Salesforce. And then in Salesforce, you have a management console where you can monitor the agent state. Okay? And from there, so you create an external data source. And instead of linking it to an OAuth provider, you link it to an agent. That's the only difference. Then from a end-user point of view, there is no difference. It's exactly the same thing. And when you do this, your SharePoint on-prem is available on the go.
All right, it looks like our time is up. We'll probably be lingering here for a couple more minutes, but unless there are any other... We'll be lingering here a couple minutes. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming and sticking through all the questions.